Just because I love you, it don't mean I trust you. Everybody not to be trusted. Everybody around me thugging. Everybody around me drugging. Everybody around me hustling. Everybody know not to bring no new riggin' around me. They say I be bugging. Got racks in the go yard luggage. Just cause I love you, it don't mean I trust you. Everybody not to be trusted.
What's up, everybody? Welcome to the show. This is Uncut with Q. I am your host, Quentin Flores. Guys, this is a phenomenal show, man. I don't know how many episodes that we're in right now, but I think my favorite part about this is I keep meeting people in the craziest of places that come onto the show and they really tell you how they were able to overcome a shit ton of obstacles that got thrown out of, like, literally, like, if there's one thing I'll tell you guys about entrepreneurship is once you get in and you're like, all right, this is what I'm deciding to do for my family and the people that I love. It's like shit just hits the fan. Right out the rip, you got people not supporting you. You got people not believing in your dreams. You got people that don't want to be associated with you because they think that you're crazy for doing something that's outside of the norm. It's like when Neo's breaking free from the Matrix. You know what I'm saying? And so, guys, one of the things that I love so much about our show is that we really highlight people that do amazing stuff. If this is your first time listening, by the way, all right, we have 4 different shows. The first one is Real Talk. I come on here and I say some shit from my head that I think that you guys need to hear. The second one is I bring friends of mine that I've made randomly throughout the internet and people that just followed me, associated with me, and masterminds that I'm with, and the proximity is crazy. They come onto the show and they talk about the amazing shit that they've done in their lives in a very short time span as well, which means that if they can do it, you can fucking do it. And then the third type of show is where my friend Trey and I, we surf the fucking internet and we talk about topics that are trending, like Kanye being banned. I don't know. We talk about Ariel being black. Like that's a big one right now. I'm not against it, but it's definitely something that is not normal because the original Ariel was white. Now, I'm not making this about any race thing, but I think it's fucking cool that we're getting a black Ariel. You know what I'm saying? Equality. And then the fourth one, and this one's also really awesome. It's where I do a Q&A with my friend Aaron Bevins. You guys can go to quentinflores.com/askq&e and you can submit your questions there and we answer them live on the show. We want to help you guys out with your business. We want to help y'all continuously grow and expand as entrepreneurs in your own company. And so, guys, this is one of those shows where I bring on an amazing friend. With that being said, dude, introduce yourself to the entire world.
Thank you, man. My name is Andy Kalaji. My partner Kyle Beggar and I, we run Property Leads, Leadvine, and SU Meets REI. Or Keith Stan as well on the SU Meets REI side. I'm excited to be here, man. This has been a long road.
Whoa, hold on. You said you run 3 different things?
Yeah, so and I'll preface this, and I think I said this over in the text earlier too, but it's like there's different leadership structures for all three companies, right? Like I don't think it's truly possible to run a company run multiple companies. Like people talk about Elon Musk, it's running multiple companies, right? But at the end of the day, there's a leadership structure in place to handle that business.
Absolutely. Right? This is one of the things that I've learned just being in business. Have you ever read the book Traction? No, that's a good one.
I read the Cliff Notes kind of side of it, but
I've good.
Yeah.
So he talks about 3 different people that exist in a business. You have the integrator, the implementer, and then you have the visionary. Visionary is the one who can kind of see what's in the future. They can kind of call things before they happen, like market shifts, interest rates rising, COVID, pandemic lockdowns. For some reason, they're fucking fortune tellers. Then you have what's called an implementer. An implementer is like that guy that's sitting at that business table that's like, are we done with this meeting yet? Are we done with this meeting yet? Okay, cool. Because I know what I have to do. I just go out there and I fucking knock on about 100 doors. That's it. You need me to ask them if they want to sell their property. If they want to sell their property, I put it under contract. That's it, right? Whatever their home value is, I offer 50%. You see what, have you met anybody that's like that? Is like,
oh, absolutely. Not
patient at all, but just ready and willing to get it done.
100%. So in the background of all this too is a girl named Liz Hutz, and she's my spouse, and
beautiful.
she is that kind of person, right? Like she's crushing it all the time. She's like, when are we done with this meeting? Can we just move on to the next thing? Let's crush the next problem.
The third one is the integrator. The integrator is the individual who's just like, I don't care to be in the front end of the scenes. I will if I have to, just because. But where I thrive is in putting pieces together. They handle the data. They handle building out the systems. They handle building out the infrastructure. They are like the healer in MOBA type video game where you have like the guy that does all the damage. Then you have the tank that handles all of the incoming prospects. And then you have the strategy person, which is normally the individual that's either in the jungle jumping from lane to lane, making sure that they're strategically assisting when they need to, and they build out the entire map. And then you have the healer, right, which is the fun part of being at the office, which in my opinion, that's my friend Trey. So with this being said, these four people, I mean, these three different types of individuals that exist in a business. You have a visionary, integrator, and an implementer. Which one do you think you are? And you could be a hybrid too.
I think probably a combination of the visionary and the integrator. But what's interesting too is our partner Kyle. He's also very hard on the visionary side, and so obviously there's gonna be conflict there on the visionary side too,
yeah.
and which has been really unique working through those differences on the visionary side.
That's beautiful, man.
Yeah.
How long have you guys done the business? I mean, what is the business, if you don't mind explaining for everybody?
So property leads is like motivated seller leads, similar to. There's other companies out there, Fast Home Offer, need some as fast.
And this just pertains to real estate, right?
Just real estate.
Gotcha.
Exactly, yeah. And so we've been doing that for 6 months, but there's a lot of backstory to like why it started 6 months ago, right? We've been generating leads online for a very long time, and these are all SEO leads, which is probably the unique part of it. And I don't think there's any other company that's really doing it as far as I know. And then for SE Meets REI, that's been going on for probably about 6 months as well. Again, a lot of backstory to that as well. And so it's like all these businesses kind of started overnight and all grew very, very quickly overnight, right? And then Leadvine is a data company. And as far as we know, they're like the largest aggregator of pre-probate, pre-inheritance, widow data in the country. And that's been going on for probably like 8 years. So
wow.
There's a lot of backstory to that one. And something that you talked about on your podcast, I think it was like with Dylan Cook actually, about getting the source, right? And so I really like that because I think what makes what we do unique and why I'm a product focused entrepreneur, right? There's product, there's promotion, I'm product, right? And we are the source of everything that we do, right? There's no guy behind the scenes who's doing something behind it. Like we aggregate the data ourselves, like we're going to the courthouse, right? We're doing the SEO, we're buying the expired domains, we're building the PBN network, et cetera, right?
So it's like honestly just blown away that you bought the domain propertyleads.com. How?
So that's Kyle. So Kyle, in the predecessor to Kyle's been a big domain guy for a long time, and so he's got hundreds of domains that are higher value or higher quality domains. And that kind of stuff. So we're able to just inherit that one into the process and stuff.
I think that's probably. I'm not gonna say that. Okay, it's very impressive. The main thing is just like, wow, like propertyleads.com. That's it. Boom. Like what more do you have to search for? Literally, people are gonna go online and put property leads. If they're not going to put that, they're going to put motivated seller leads, right? But property leads is such a phenomenal name, man. So for the people that are watching, because we have a very broad base of individuals. They're all not just real estate. I get people that are like fitness companies. We got a dude that was on the podcast recently that owned a club and does option trading, like it's been a various amount of people, bro. So cool. Definitely whenever we're talking about certain things in regards to real estate, guys, make sure that y'all pay attention. And if y'all have any questions in regards to like what SEO means or why motivated seller leads are important, that you also make sure you ask these questions so that Aaron and I, when we do our Q&A, can answer them as well. And I'll also give my guy here the link to the podcast so he can also address, and you can follow him on his platforms too if you want to ask him personally. But aside from this business that you've been building out, did this spawn from creating a real estate company?
Yeah, so we originally were in the wholesaling space, and we I've done my fair share of cold calling, and I was terrible at it, right? You could probably tell for like a programmatic guy, right? Like me trying to get on the phone, cold calling other investors, cold calling mortgage brokers to try to do like a seller finance deal to get their old leads or whatever.
Yeah.
I've tried it all, right? And then eventually we found that because we're on the more technical side, let's spin up SEO, right? Because we can generate leads for free, in quotes, right? Use our time to get to that point. And so then we started the wholesaling company. And we started partnering with individuals so we could kind of focus more on that and they could focus on the real estate investing side. And so we did a lot of deals there. But then eventually with a lot of partnerships, things start to fizzle, right? People start to steal money. People start to do a lot of crazy stuff. And so that died out, right? And now at that point, we've like launched all these websites. We're trying to find new partners. We're scrambling. And then over time, we started to talk with Kyle, put those pieces together, and then started spinning out websites after website after website and started launching domains after domains after domains. And so it's just like, that's what we've been doing. And now we're just like an execution phase, man. Just keep doing the same thing over and over again. Keep trying to scale, keep trying to do it bigger and better.
Wow, man. Yeah. So you have these new companies that are just blowing up over the last 6 months. You know, I'm sure that, because I remember when you mentioned that, right? There's this story that I like, and it's from this speaker. I forgot his name, but he says this very powerful thing, and I love it so much. He says, there's a tree that grows in the Middle East called the Chinese bamboo tree. Not the Middle East, I'm sorry. This is like in Asia, the Chinese bamboo tree, right? And so apparently you have to water this tree for like 2 years, I think. It was like a very long time. Don't quote me on the Chinese bamboo tree, but I just know that you have to water it for a very long time. And then when it sprouts from the ground, literally within like 30 days, it grows like 15, 20 feet high. Chinese bamboo, right? Yeah. And so you got to ask yourself, did that growth happen within that last 30 days? Or was it
the 2 years before that?
The 2 years before that of watering it before it broke ground, right? Yeah. And so I think that that's such a beautiful thing, is you imagine people coming up from the village asking you why you're watering something that's not growing.
Right.
You know, and then those are the negative people that are like, how the hell are you doing this? You know what I'm saying? So, dude, how old are you since you've been doing all of this? Like, how old are you now?
So I'm 26 now, and then we started at the beginning of COVID. It's like March 2020, I think was COVID. Yeah, March 2020.
Yeah.
And then it was just like, we just grinded. I mean, weekend, weekday, Christmas Day, Thanksgiving Day that year, like it was just the same thing every single day.
24/7?
Well, no, not 24/7.
I know.
You gotta sleep, but
absolutely, yeah.
Sleep is critical, man. If you don't sleep, like you're sacrificing something on the other end of the candlestick, right?
Of course.
But yeah, I mean, we didn't do anything, which sounds really sad, but like looking back, I mean, I appreciate all that time, right? Like I remember the nights where we were doing like horror queries or where we're doing something with building out a new website or whatever, and like I'm like, I respect the effort that put into that kind of stuff. And to like look back on that now and it's still paying itself forward. Mm-hmm. I love that.
Dude, to be honest, I think this is something that I talked about. So if you guys go to the last episode that I just did with Nathan Payne, so Nathan is a good friend of mine. He's also in the Family Mastermind. We're both members, by the way. And I'll talk more about that on a podcast. I'll probably get my guy Matt Andrews in here to talk more about this. We get literally so many people that listen to this, you know. I get reached out by a lot of you guys. Some of y'all email us your questions, and you know, some of y'all want to meet some of the guests. I always make sure that I reiterate on this. All their social medias are in the description on both Spotify, Apple Podcasts, iHeartRadio, Pandora Podcasts, wherever you're listening to this from, even if it's on YouTube and you're looking at this from the live view, which is actually our least performing place that people go to listen.
Really?
Yeah, bro. It's blowing up on the streaming platforms, and I realize that people would rather listen than watch. You know, but guys, if you just go to the YouTube and look at the freaking video, you'll be able to follow my guy and you'll be able to ask him questions. But the reason why I was saying this is because on the last episode that I just did, Nathan was talking about how what's got him most of the real estate deals that he's ever closed was in helping other people close more real estate deals.
I believe that,
bro. Like mind blown, right? So what's your take on that? Because right now you're actually helping people do that. Would you say you made more money wholesaling real estate or more money now doing what you're doing, helping other people in their wholesale real estate businesses?
Definitely making more money helping people close more deals. And there's a lot of different ways to describe that, right? Some people use the analogy of like, I'll teach a person how to build a house for $10,000 that they can sell for $100,000, which is worth $1 million or something like that, right? I think that's the Alex Hormozi quote. Paraphrasing, right?
Of course. Love that
super
guy.
Paraphrasing.
He's going to be on the podcast.
Really?
Yeah.
That's awesome, man. I'm excited for that one.
For sure.
I like that guy. I'm sorry, what was the original question again?
No, yeah, the helping people make a bunch of money or just making it on your own?
Yeah, and so definitely helping people. I think where we've tried to definitely helping people. I think it's very difficult in real estate to go it alone. I think you will typically run into walls, and like something really unique about real estate versus other industries is like, and you probably experienced this yourself. If you go and you talk to another business owner, like they'll help you for free because they want to see you succeed because you can see the other partnership the other end of the spectrum, right? And I think in the real estate space, you see a lot of people selling courses and like selling a product, like an info product, right? Mm-hmm. And maybe partially because it's like such an entry level, or it's a more of an entry level industry compared to like launching a larger business.
Absolutely.
I'm
mean,
not sure.
think about it. What's going to be easier, build Tesla or wholesale real estate?
Exactly. Yeah,
I get what you're saying. Yeah.
And so something that I never loved about the real estate space, and I'm hoping that can kind of change over the next maybe 3 or 5 years. And I think we're starting to see that through family and stuff too. Is there's a lot of people who are going to their local community, starting a meetup, real estate meetup group, and then helping investors close their deals, right? Helping the investors, like, maybe it's still a JV, maybe they're still making money together, but it's not like just strictly selling an info product. I really do like that.
I love it.
Yeah.
Dude, honestly, not only are you making more money, I bet it's also more fulfilling.
For sure.
You know, I used to love closing real estate deals, man. I still do. We close a bunch of them, actually. I can't say that I still love it because of what it does for my people over there. You know, so I have a whole staff of people that close real estate deals, and it's great. Seeing them light up reminds me of when I was working on a sales floor doing the same thing.
Yeah.
And it brings me back. It helps me remember. And so I remember now, like, why I'm doing what I'm doing. And it just keeps me going. You know what I'm saying? The company that you have right now, these 3 companies, what does each one do specifically? So you have Property Leads, and then you have Lead Vine, right? And then there was another one that you mentioned.
SU meets REI. So Property Leads strictly sells leads. I think we've been doing it long enough where I can pretty confidently say that they're highest quality leads in the industry. Like, I've seen everybody else's leads.
Right? I love it.
I don't know, and I'm more than willing to test that against anybody else's stuff, right? I know our close ratios. I know what people are doing, and I know they're buying leads from other companies too. And it's like I can see the spectrum and stuff. And then SU meets REI is strictly an SU agency, and what we typically see is people who buy leads. It's like a super entry level product, like they're guaranteed success if they can just close deals, right? Mm-hmm. And then they typically want to move over to an agency model where they can get more leads at a lower cost if they can kind of buy into the product over time. And then the data company is very, very high ticket, like 20 to 50K kind of thing. But that's for the investor who's doing it at an enterprise level, right? Like someone who's doing way over 7 figures a year and they want to really start to scale their business.
I see.
So
I love it. I love it. So I guess me being the entry level guy, most of the people who listen, they're just trying to get into the business.
For sure.
Which product would you recommend they start with?
Definitely a Property Leads type product. Like someone who, I mean, if I'm an investor, man, I've thought about this a lot. If I was an investor and I was starting over today, I would not try to do marketing. Like I would just go buy leads from someone else who has a well-known product, right? Because you will waste so much time trying to market, and you're trying to learn 2 things at once. You're trying to learn the sales part, the real estate, and the marketing all at the same time.
And the discipline too,
And the discipline. And so it's like, how can you truly, you only have so many hours in the day, how can you truly learn 4 things at once, right?
Yeah.
So you're just going to waste time. So it's like, if you could start to remove things, okay, you remove the sales by, and you remove the sales and the real estate by JVing with someone. You remove the marketing by paying for leads. And now all you have to learn is the discipline. You get to get walked through the process and stuff like that. So if I were starting over again, that's how I would do it. Everybody's a different course of action. Some people prefer to cold call, spend time for money. Everybody's got a different approach and stuff.
Gotta ask you this, because I know there are some cold call people that are hearing what you're hearing right now, and they might even be mad. You know
Probably.
what I'm saying? And, because you're just saying, we already qualify them, and you just come to this website, propertyleads.com, and boom, you can get your stuff, right? And you don't have to worry so much about plowing through the no's and you got the wrong numbers and they go screw yourself, XYZ. There are a lot of people that will argue that cold calling is better than SEO. Now, I would
100%.
love to know what your perspective is. Why do you pick SEO over cold calling? And if it's a preference thing too, let's share what your preference is. Because I know some people, bro, that just don't have it in them to cold call either. And it is a very nerve-wracking thing. Some people get depressed. They get their whole day ruined on one cold call, That's never been me. I've always been clean on the phone. If I can run a podcast and host it and not skip over words or not figure out where the hell I'm going to take this thing. Did I give you an agenda when we started?
No.
None at all, guys. That's how I fucking run this show, right? So the reason why I'm saying that is just like, it blows my mind that there are people out there, and it's actually 90% of them, that really suck at cold calling.
Oh,
yeah. And I'm just interested in hearing your perspective. No right or wrong answer, definitely.
Well, I'll answer with a pre-statement to give context, right? I see that there's 3 types of wholesaling companies out there. There's the one that is just getting off the ground. They're just starting. They don't have much money. There's the one that's turned into a lifestyle business. They're crushing it. They're making good money, but they haven't hit like a scale point. And then the third one is they're trying to do it at scale. They're trying to go way beyond 7 figures, maybe even 8 figures, and try to, they're going to slim their margins down, but they're going to do a lot more revenue, right? And so I think at that beginning phase, cold calling can work really, really well because you're trying to trade your time for money, right? That makes sense to me. But I think when you get to that middle phase, which is where a lot of investors are at, who are still in the business, you can't scale your time, right? And so it's really hard to scale cold calling unless you want to start hiring a lot of people. And in my experience, and everybody's experience is different, the more people you bring on, the margins get lower and the more management you have. Because even though you're bringing on 10 people, let's say, to do cold calling, like, you still have to manage 10 people, right? And you can't scale your time. So then, like, now you're bringing on a leadership team. Now you're lowering your margins even more versus a lead that comes directly to you, like PPC, Facebook, SEO, whatever it might be. That's a lot easier to scale. Now, once you get to that enterprise level again, I mean, you can do anything in enterprise. Like, cold calling is amazing. Direct mail is probably the best form of marketing that could really ever exist, right? Because it's like, I mean, you can mail everybody, right? And it's never going to go away.
It's definitely more expensive now than it used to be.
For sure.
I used to send postcards for like 17 cents a postcard. Nowadays, it's like 35, 40.
100%.
It's crazy, but that could just be Texas. I don't know how this works really on a national level or if it's all the same price.
I don't do direct mail, so I can't really say.
You're
but
good.
Like, I do know the people who are doing enterprise level, they're always doing cold calling or direct mail in some form. Maybe they're doing text blasting, some people don't, but like one of those two is usually involved at an enterprise level. That's from what I've seen.
I love it, man. I love it. So you would pick SEO over cold calling.
That's for me.
Gotcha.
That's like the technical, guy in me saying that, right? So it's like, if you're coming from a background in sales, like you were doing car sales before that, like you probably don't want to do SEO. You probably want to go maybe on the more face-to-face approach, door knocking, cold calling, etc.
I have a universal answer to that question too. I'm gonna answer my own question, which I don't do, okay? But I'm doing it today because I love your perspective too. Because I think one thing that I can highlight off of that was you said it's a good form of marketing. It's just not for me, right? This is something that I learned from my mentor, Preston Brown. Love you, bro. I continuously show you love on this podcast. He says you can't scale what you can't measure. So if you're, and not only that, but there's two forms of ways that you make money in business. One of them is bad and one of them's good. One of them's called productivity and the other one's called seductivity. Seductivity gets you paid, but it also gets you fucked. Productivity is just massive traction, continuous money flowing in. And so you have one that you'll have to eat a lot of shit and shovel horse shit to make money, which is what cold calling essentially is, if we're talking the premise of it. And then you have another one where you're selling the shovels that those guys are buying to shovel horse shit. Technically, you're shoveling shit, but you're more systematic with it. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You're not actually shoveling the shit, which is what, in my opinion, cold calling is to SEO. I use SEO too, so I actually fully agree. But for all my people that are watching right now, if you really don't have it in you to cold call, you should very much so have a epiphany of sorts. Realize that it's not a strong skill set that you may never master. Now, sales is a skill set. You can learn sales in anything. You just might not deal with sales in the real estate space very well. And so understanding your weaknesses is a strength. You know what I mean? And if you can tell me that I can skip the learning curve of having to go through all those tedious calls, because, dude, I used to make 10,000 cold calls just to get 5 leads. That's crazy. You know how much time I'd have to put into that?
A lot of time.
On a 3-line dialer, 10-line dialer, I'm still having to go and recycle my list and then do it all over again. And then I'm cold calling all of these prospects, right? But I'm not really getting to that guy, and I actually had to go through a lot to get to that guy. Some would say that it's worth it if you don't have the money to invest. But I mean, if you're trying to make money in business, you can't be afraid to invest. You know what I'm saying? 100%. What is some kickback that you get from people that are wanting to try out the PPC marketing?
What do you mean?
Like, when you like someone's like, you know what, I'm interested in using property leads, right? But I'm kind of reluctant. Like, what are some of the things that you get all the time? And if you can correct those people for their misunderstanding of what your platform offers.
Interesting. I haven't been doing the sales calls for that in a while. I would say the biggest concern people have is that they've gone to other vendors and they've had a bad experience.
Yeah,
right?
I've noticed that.
And so it's like, all I can say at the end of the day is like, the lead quality is different, right? And like, we can walk you through the process. Like, I'm not trying to take money. Like, I don't care. I'll refund the lead and I'll do the deal myself, kind of thing. And a lot of people say, well, why don't you, if you have so many great leads, like, why don't you just do the deals yourselves? And you can't scale that. You can't, like, Open Door, OfferPad, Redfin, Zillow, HomeLight. Like, some of them are getting knocked down one by one right now.
I see that, yeah.
And so it's like, why am I going to be the guy who changes that? Like, I don't think that's the business that I want to create. So those are like the two biggest things I've seen.
I've noticed, and I think that those are good Yeah, I get what you're saying too. Realistically, it's really just people afraid, man. And bad experience create people's reality. You know what I mean? Dude, I tell you right now, and this is just me being fully transparent. I was completely against doing PPC.
Really?
Completely against it.
Interesting.
I had bad experience. But I didn't let that define my decision in trying it again. You know what I mean? You go to the theater, you see one bad movie. Does that mean all of them are bad? No. Not at all. You're going to find a movie that resonates with you. And guess what? That movie that resonates with you, some other people still might not like it and say it's bad. Like the new fucking movie with Dwayne The Rock Johnson in it. Shazam. No, not Shazam. I'm sorry. What's the name of that movie?
Black Adam.
Black Adam. Exactly. Black Adam. Fuck yeah. It was great. Watched it in theaters Sunday with my son. And dude, I mean, fucking, it was awesome, bro. And I heard that movie got the shittiest reviews.
Really?
Why? Right? And I mean, it's because The Rock is a bad guy, quote unquote, but he's actually a bad good guy in the movie. I liked it, but you know, not a lot of people did. And so, reason behind this is that don't knock it till you try it. If you aren't willing to invest in yourself, you're gonna have a very big problem when you try to invest in real estate. Because real estate comes with risk. There ain't no guarantees in anything that you do. But the one thing that you can bet on is yourself and your capability to see things through. I'm damn sure you guys have a phenomenal product. You know what I'm saying? It's just people need to get the balls to try things out because they might find truth on the other side of it. Things about themselves or also belief within the product because faith is in the evidence.
Can I ask for a piece of advice?
Go ahead. Yeah.
So we talked about it earlier, like I've always been a product-focused entrepreneur, right? I've always avoided promotion. Everything we do right now is referral, right? Like we've literally never advertised. And so that's something we're looking to change, right? Like for us to scale to the next level, like we need to have people know what we do, right? And like you mentioned earlier, you're like, Andy, like I know we're in the same thing. Like you're like a really good guy, but like we haven't talked before, you know what I mean? And so do you ever have to make that shift from product to promotion? And like, if so, like, what is that right level of promotion to make? Because like even me saying the brands on this podcast, like to me, that's too much promotion. I'm just like, I don't want to be like the guy who's like, you know, plugging it in all the time.
You're for sure going to get a lot of 1,000%. Just being on this podcast is a big deal, man. So your product is going to get out there after this. Exactly what you're doing is the way I wish I would have done it a lot sooner. You know, one of the things that I was always afraid of was letting everybody know my business. The thing about getting in a brand space. So, bro, I have over millions of followers across the spectrum. I've been doing this shit for years now. When you have a brand, there are a few things that you have to understand. One, people are going to be pissed at you. They're going to not like you for some fucking crazy reason. Two, you're going to have a whole bunch of people that you didn't even know come out to support what it is that you're doing because they can't believe that their homeboy Andy that they went to school with is on a podcast talking about a new business that he created because they don't know you like that.
Right.
They knew you in a different version of you. And so because of that, they're either going to hate you for it or they're going to love you for it. And this is even greater because people talk to people. I was in the sauna working out the other day with my buddy Pablo, right? And the guy that was in there told me that he followed me. Had no idea. He didn't even say hi to me. We were just jump roping in the sauna. I do cardio sauna. So, sauna cardio is crazy, bro. That's like way crazy. You know, we're already getting hot. So the fact that we're increasing our body heat internally while externally we're feeling the heat is crazy. I mean, definitely don't do this until you've conditioned yourself and sat in saunas for a few times, right? But the kid that was there was a friend that I had mentored years ago, his little brother. And he had just turned 18. He started at the boxing gym. And he knew who I was because of social media. And he had been following me for the last 5 years. Bro, when he followed me, he was 13 years old. So this is the third thing that I love so much about getting yourself out there, not just because of your product, but also because people grow up with your brand, dude.
Interesting.
It's like you watch anime at all?
Wow. Naruto back when I was a kid. Does that count as anime?
That does.
Okay.
That is hella anime, right? What's a show that you love?
Ooh.
You look like a Breaking Bad guy.
Yeah, Breaking Bad's a good show.
It was a damn good show.
Yeah.
Did you watch it while it aired or did you binge it on Netflix type thing?
Once we got to season 4, that's when I like watched the first 4. I think it was season 4 or season 3, one of those 2 seasons. Yeah.
Reason why I'm telling you this is because and Breaking Bad's amazing, bro. Fucking phenomenal show, dude.
You ever watch Better Call Saul?
I have, yeah. That's also really good.
Yeah.
And so why am I talking about Breaking Bad? Is because when the first episode came out, you create a connection with the characters.
Right.
And then the years pass by, you get older, the characters get older with you, right? And then they go from just selling meth to making millions, hundreds of millions of dollars in the business, right? And then things start happening in their lives that change the trajectory. And so at the end of the show, bad things happen to characters that you grew up with, what does that make you feel? You get sentimental about it, right? Why though? Is because when you start promoting property leads on a mass level, which you already done this, you're doing this now as you're sitting here with me, you are going to be giving people the keys to the show that you are running. Now they're going to be involved with your life and they're going to start growing up with you. That kid told me he'd been following me since he was 13 years old, bro. And that he just graduated high school and joined the boxing gym, and he's getting into real estate because he saw my videos. And so who would have known, right? Yeah. I don't know who the hell that kid was. I don't even remember his name, but I followed him back on Instagram just because he told me he'd been following me. So that is what having a brand is. It's creating a relationship, psychological connection with the individuals that are going to be following you. It's giving so much information out that people are either going to hate you for it or they're going to love you for it. The majority are going to love you, I promise. But the ones that tend to hate you are the ones that are closest to you.
So here's a question. So what is, based on your experience and trajectory in your businesses, however you want to phrase it.
Of course.
At what point is it the right time to start that personal brand?
Right away, man.
Right away?
Like now. If you are already talking about property leads and Lead Vine, the other company that you have, right? And you're wanting them to really go out there, right now is the time. Because there's no way that you're going to scale them up to a multi-billion-dollar organization just not being known. Word of mouth marketing is great, but people buy you before they buy your product. You know, I get a lot of people that want to either get into e-com because of me, they want to get into real estate because of me, they want to get into fitness because of me. These are 3 things that I push consistently across the platform. What I'm saying is that you are going to have so much power because you're going to create presence. People that own things nowadays, like, oh, you can tell me that you own 18 different companies. Like I do, but it's not even a flex anymore because I own me. And that's the greatest asset that I'll ever have. Whatever is associated with me is what I want people to buy into. But the only way that they can do that is if I create relatability. Relatability eliminates debatability. So that's why building the brand is important. Do you know who owns the Los Angeles Lakers?
Oh, I don't.
600 million. That's her net worth. It's a woman. She's a badass, by the way.
Really?
Who works for the Los Angeles Lakers? Who's an avid player that everybody knows and loves to hate?
You're catching me in the sports stuff? Don't know.
You're good. Space Jam 2.
Okay.
Do you know who that is?
No.
The basketball player that's in it?
No.
All good. LeBron James. Do you know who I'm talking about?
I know who LeBron James
That's
is.
all I needed you to say. LeBron James has contracts with LA Lakers. He's a drafted player for the company. He plays for the company. He's an employee to the company. He gets a salary for playing basketball, right? He also has a deal with Nike. He's also co-produced and co-funded Space Jam 2. Space Jam is one of the greatest fucking movies of all time. Michael Jordan did it the best. But his wife produced it. His wife co-produced that movie. He funded it. You know how crazy that is? Guess what LeBron James's net worth is?
Oh, it's got to be 800 million, 600 million?
$1.8 billion.
$1.8 billion?
$1.8 billion. He doesn't own the Lakers. He doesn't own Nike. What does he have?
His brand and
His
equity
brand.
in those things.
Exactly, man. So when you create a brand, there are things that you sacrifice in order to do it. And those things are keys to your life. People are going to know you and grow up with you now. And they're going to be involved with all of the things that you're involved with because they're going to resonate with you like they've never resonated with anybody else before, you know? And so if you're listening to this right now, I don't care if you're making millions of dollars or if you barely got $1 to your name. I need you to start documenting it right now because that's what's going to create that traction that you want. Even if you had nothing. I had nothing when I started building my brand. I had no presence ever, bro. Like, it was like I just closed one deal, $2,100. I bought a suit. And it was my birthday, and my sister threw a cake on my suit and fucked the suit up. You know what I mean? I spent $1,800 on that suit, so I only had $200 to my name, bro. You know what I'm saying? But I had a dream, and I knew what I wanted to do, and I knew the only way that I was going to do it faster is if more people knew about what I was doing. So how do you expect to get people to buy leads if you're not in constant communication with your audience that you are that guy? You are that fucking dude that can do that for them, you know? So that's my advice to you. You know what I mean? And I'm sure you have a long way to go on your journey too. I mean, this isn't like what you have right now. My favorite part about doing these podcasts, bro, and I hate to say that this is your episode. I'm not, you know, we have time, right? Man. I cannot wait for 5 years from now when you come back and look at how small you were playing.
Interesting.
Because I look at podcasts that I was on in 2015, 2016, and I'm just ashamed of the information that I'm sharing. because it's so irrelevant to where I'm at right now. It's not even on the spectrum of things that I play with today.
That's funny.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so that's the beauty of building a brand. My advice to you would be to do exactly what you're doing right now. Get on many podcasts as you possibly can. Add value to as many people as you possibly can. Go out there and tell people about the amount of value that you're giving to people. Document, post, document, post, document, post. Do it as many times over as it takes, bro. And right now has never been the easiest time. People don't follow celebrities anymore, bro. They follow people that they have connections with, people that they're actually going to be able to say that they have an opportunity to meet one day. So you might be that guy for someone, bro. You might be the reason that some kid doesn't kill themselves, dude. I don't know. Someone could be listening to this right now and say, if Alex is 26 fucking years old and he can do it, why the fuck can't I do it? I know SEO. I can plug this into a product. I can create my own SEO company. I'm not going to kill myself today because of that. You have no clue, bro. And that's what's amazing about this is that you're just serving consistently. And because of the amount of value that you're delivering in the space, it comes back tenfold, bro. It just doesn't have a date on it. That's all.
Interesting.
So you just keep throwing it out there. And then next thing you know, you have all these blessing deposits just raining upon
Blessing
you, man.
deposits?
Yeah, because I keep on doing good for people. And then those things come back eventually.
Yeah.
You know, that's the way of the world, man. It's a value exchange. You do good for somebody somehow, somewhere, even if it's not from that person, it's going to come back to you and they're going to do right by you. I might be that guy for you one day. I don't know. But I have a lot of years on this game, bro. Almost a decade into real estate already. And fucking I've come a long way too. I told you some of my story.
Yeah.
I could have just told you about what I had going on. I told you about how I grew up. Why? It's because there's power in where you come from, man. And so you don't have to be a drug dealer like I was. You know, you have your own trials and tribulations to talk about. Matter of fact, I want to pivot to that, man. Where did you grow up anyway? And where is this company even stationed?
So it's moving over to the Denver area right now, the company.
Denver?
Denver area, yeah.
Are you a weed smoker?
No, not no, not really. I would say I've smoked my fair share of weed, but like it's just never been my like really my thing.
I just gotta ask because a lot of people move to Colorado just for that reason. That and
Really?
mountains and shrooms.
Yeah, mountains. I like the mountains. Yeah.
Mountains are beautiful.
Yeah. But I grew up in Maine in a small town, idyllic, completely white, like that, that kind of thing, right? But that was really weird because then like you go to the real world and that's not what the real world was like, right? And so like everybody was like rich, like it was like that kind of town.
Wow.
We weren't, but like like people were doing pretty well. And so then went down to Virginia Tech for school. Saw like more of like a Southwest Virginia town. I was telling you about this earlier. When I left Maine to go down to Virginia, they told me I had a Canadian accent. Went back to Maine, they told me I had a Southern accent. I was like, I can't win. Dang. But anyway, moved down to the Fredericksburg area, Virginia after a while. Worked for the government as a software developer. I was working on. I'm not sure if I'm allowed to say what I was working on, but working on stuff for some littoral combat ships. And then
Combat ships.
Yeah, so there's like frigates, that kind of stuff, and so yeah, we like rode the frigates. I don't know. It was kind of fun. Yeah, it was
that's
cool time.
badass.
Yeah. It's interesting in the Navy, most people drink Bangs, and like you can always tell when the next energy drink is coming out because everybody in the Navy's drinking it first. And I was like, people are popping these down like,
You were military?
No, I was civilian.
Oh, okay.
But
But
like,
you worked with the. I see.
Yeah.
You worked on the stuff. Gotcha.
Yeah,
The
so we still
combat
go
ships.
underway and like do the tests, if that makes sense, that kind of stuff. I spent a lot of time in Fredericksburg, and then I would commute up to Vermont to visit Liz every weekend, kind of thing. So we go back and forth all that time. So I spent a lot of time in Actually, funny story. So before real estate, before SEO, before all this stuff, we made money overbooking flights. So we figured out a pretty, I think, successful system for overbooking United flights. So they overbook ERJ 145s by one seat, ERJs at 175s by two seats, and so you just make sure when they're down to like less than one seat on the 175s, you just overbook it, and you just clear $2,000 every time you do that, right? $2,000, they get the next flight, $2,000, they get next flight, and then you can sell the certificate for 75 cents on the dollar, and so it's like you just keep rinsing and repeating kind of thing, and like they start to get to know you after a while once you're the same guy doing it all the time.
I see.
But that was a lot of fun. So I can't remember what the original part of the story was, but in terms of adversity, like, it's the classic stuff, right? It's like, maybe parents, maybe friends, they didn't believe in you, right? Like they,
Did you have that?
Of course. I don't think anybody doesn't have that at some point, right?
Yeah.
And a lot of those people you have to drop in life, and that's totally cool. And a lot of those people, like, maybe you're family with them, and so like you can't necessarily drop them, but you just have to work through it. You know what I mean? what was the original question again?
No, yeah, well, where you came from and then what you had to go through to get to where you're at right now.
Yeah, and so when we were growing the real estate business side of it, like we had some big contracts at one point and stuff like that. People just kind of ran with the money.
Oh, shit.
That
No
kind of
way.
Stuff, right. And so it's like we quit our jobs. We're like all in kind of thing.
How long ago was that?
12 months ago.
What?
Yeah.
So the wholesaling company deals. Was already upside down at that time frame?
Yeah, it was trending downwards, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
And so we were trying to like figure out a pivot and stuff, and like we were starting to do land deals. So like we have like 30 pieces of land under contract right now, and so it's like all these like different kind of stuff to just like bring money and bring cash in. And then going back to what you were saying, it's like we had to pivot from trying to do it ourselves to trying to help other people do it. And like that's where like things kind of grew up like a piece of bamboo overnight. Chinese bamboo.
Yeah, Chinese bamboo tree.
Yeah.
It's crazy to me how that works, right? Because you could try so hard to close a bunch of real estate deals, and it's all right to mess up. We all do, right? But I think the main reason why people fail in business is because they just let that loss define them, and then they just go back to doing what they were doing before. And rather than just calling it quits the way that you guys did, you built something out of it, And I think that that's really awesome. I think anybody should see that as like a fat W. It's not that you weren't good at real estate wholesaling. It's just that you didn't have people that you could rely on that you thought that you could. And then, just the market shifting and things happening, right? Rather than just calling it quits completely. Well, it's funny because we can either help ourselves close more real estate deals or we can close more real estate deals hoping other people close more real estate deals.
What happened, yeah.
Yeah. And I think that that's the coolest thing about it, man. This business that you have right now, there are other people involved. You mentioned Kyle and another.
Yeah, there's Kyle.
Liz.
Kyle, Liz, Keith, Cody, James, Megan, hiring a guy named Tom soon. It's just like it kind of just grew up overnight.
You mentioned that you have the majority of this business streamlined so that you could be here, right?
Yeah.
Well, how do you even start structuring a company like this?
Well, I mean, at a base level, you need people who can actually like run the organization, right? So like Keith Sand, amazing person, like super smart guy, and like he runs and owns most of SU Meets REI, right?
Wow.
So like he's an absolute killer. He's super involved with Carrot, super involved with the community. My favorite part about Keith is like he's kind of like us, where like it's not a pitch, it's a product, right? It's like an amazing product, and like he'll jump on the phone with you, he'll jump on a call with you, he'll solve all your problems, not asking for any money in return, right? He's that kind of person. I love him. I love that energy, because it builds like a family, right? And family is that's the critical piece.
Mm-hmm.
And then the lead vine side, Cody and Kyle are still trying to figure out that part of the leadership structure, but that's being built out right now. And then property leads, I mean, I'm running the ship of property leads and stuff. So
I got you. I guess the main thing, because I know a lot of people, they struggle with creating a system, right?
Yeah.
So like, where do you find your strength in your system? Like, what is it that you do the best in your company?
What do we do the best in terms of automation, or what do we do?
Like what you do in your role in your own company. Like what is the best part of your role in your
putting
company?
all the pieces together. Mm-hmm. The vision, laying out the vision for property leads and putting all the pieces together. And so like Liz is an amazing integrator, and she can like solve all the problems and get the right people to solve all the problems.
This is your spouse, right?
Yeah, Elizabeth. Yeah,
that's beautiful. Shout out to Elizabeth.
Yeah. And she's taken a lot of we've modeled a lot of what we've done after like Alex Hormozy and Layla Hormozy. So like shout out to them, right? Like they helped us. They what they talk about, particularly Layla, like who's the woman behind the scenes who actually does a lot of this stuff. We've modeled a lot of what we've done based on what they've talked about. And so just like that just accelerated everything the second we did that.
I love it, man. How is it owning a company and running it with your wife?
Ooh, very challenging. Very tricky. Yeah.
Does that stop at the door when you get home?
Absolutely not.
Oh, damn.
No, you'll be in bed at 9:30 p.m. at night, and you're talking about something like, on the family side, and then all of a sudden it's like back to business, right?
Do you guys have kids?
No.
Gotcha. So y'all are just rocking this business out right now, putting the foundation in front.
Yeah.
That's crazy, man. So you guys are talking about business all the time?
Yeah. It's not healthy. I wouldn't recommend people to do that.
I got you.
But like for me, business is my life. Like that's what it's my hobby. It's like everything I do. Like I don't enjoy.
Is she the same way too?
No, absolutely not.
Oh wow.
But I surround it, so it's it's funny. Like I was talking to my friend Tom last night, and he's gonna be probably moving on to our business and stuff. And like my favorite part about that is like we're good friends, right? Great friends. And like I just want to be able to work with people like that. Like I love to be able to work with friends because that's the only time I'm gonna be around them. Like I used to like enjoy playing board games a lot, and like that's just died. Like
which board games?
Catan, Twilight Struggle,
that
all the
sounds like a lot
Pandemic
of fun.
series. I mean, Liz and I used to go to coffee shops and we just rip out Pandemic for 8 hours.
Wow.
Right? But like now it's like, okay, what's the real game? The real game is business. And so it's like, why play a fake game when you can play a real game? And maybe that's a immature thought process, but that's just the perspective I've always come to.
What did board games and mastering those board games, how does that add value to what you're doing now in business?
Ooh, man. I can talk about Pandemic specifically because it's about making decisions based on having no information or as little information as possible. And so like, that's what business is, right? Like you don't have all the cards. You can't have all the cards when you're first starting. Like it's only once you've reached that 80th year when you're Warren Buffett and you've seen all there is to see. At that point, you have all the cards, maybe, right? And like you're never gonna have all the cards until then. So you have to make decisions without that kind of information.
I love it, dude. I always marry video games to how I've been able to build businesses because I love playing video games. Like right now, the whole office is pretty much the majority of the office. I think it's like 3 or 4 of us. We're all gonna be getting the new Pokemon game dropping tomorrow.
Really?
Yeah.
What's the game?
It's an open world RPG, which is
cool.
role playing game, Grand Theft Auto style, but with Pokemon, bro.
Wait, so it's like real like Earth?
Not
But
real
with
Earth,
Pokemon, or
not like us walking around. That's called augmented reality, which is
Okay,
what
I
Pokemon
gotcha.
Go is.
I
where
gotcha, yeah,
You
yeah.
take your phone with you and you catch Pokemon in real life.
Yeah.
Real life, but it's augmented, right?
Right.
Sword Art Online talks about this. I'm a fucking nerd, by the way. We're not going to talk about anime. Okay, going back to this. So, it's a role-playing game. So you take on the role of a Pokemon trainer, and then you get to meet other people in the open world and battle, trade Pokemon, things like that. I mean, it's super fun. But we always marry what we do in video games to how we run businesses. And I think that a lot of people, they don't really understand. Like, they think that business isn't a video game or that it isn't a board game. And I think that's where a lot of people fail too,
Right.
You gotta think about something you were passionate about and how it could be married to this, because if you have passions in something and you're not passionate about what you do to make money, you're gonna have a really hard time. And so I love that you played Pandemic. I played that game too. I have the board games at my house.
Really? Do you have all the 4 expansions and stuff too,
Yes,
or?
everything.
Oh, awesome.
And it's funny, I've only played it like 3 times.
Oh, no.
But it's there if I ever want to just get down. And I have enough so that everybody in my office, we could all play that if we wanted,
Awesome.
But I just haven't gotten around to it. Lately I've been super busy, but I have played board games. My wife and I play the X-Files board games.
Oh, cool.
Those are fun. Like one person is the conspiracy guy and then the other 3 are the agents, and you're trying to uncover something while you as the conspiracy person is trying to keep the secret a secret.
Interesting.
It's a cool game, dude.
Interesting.
It's a really cool game, and it is a lot of moving pieces, a lot of different parts, a lot of strategy that is involved that applies to business. You know what I'm saying? I'm almost positive that learning how to play Pandemic has helped you scale this organization tremendously.
I hope so. Well, I hope all those like 150 hours of Pandemic board gameplay like went into it.
I'm pretty sure, because when you process map a business, that's what you're doing. You're creating roles. You're creating standard operating procedures. How to play.
Yeah.
That's what a standard operating procedure is. Like it's funny when you really put the pieces together. But as far as like owning the business, going back to what I was asking you about, and running it with your wife, how has that challenged your relationship?
Well, how has that challenged our relationship? I would say it's been very difficult to find space and time, and I would say especially like when we were in Virginia for like that probably 3-year period, like we didn't talk to anybody else. Like we just did our thing. Like we just did the business, right? Or drilled through it, whatever. And now they're like we're in the Boulder area. Like we're trying to make connections with other people. So there's like another space to go to that's not involved in the business. Because like even for me to like go talk to someone else about their business, like that's probably better than like go talk to Liz about our business, right?
Wow.
And then for her, like she's getting involved in the running scene a lot more, which is definitely helping. But I would say that I think in a perfect world, like you probably wouldn't do it with your spouse because then you have that safe space kind of thing. Safe space is probably the wrong word, but I think you might get what I'm trying to say.
Yeah.
But I don't
you want your spouse to be like a safe haven for you.
Exactly, yeah. But I don't have any regrets about doing it with Liz. I think she was like the best person ever. I think she's a killer. She crushes it. And what's really funny too is like she'll always say like, oh, like I don't know if I've grown at all. But it's like you can't see yourself grow. You can only see other people grow, kind of thing. And so like
true.
I see her, I'm like, dude, you're like a bean sprout, man. You're like way up there, and she says it's potentially the same about me, but she can't see that in herself. So
My wife's the same way, bro. But the only thing that's different, like, so between like, might as well be between us and the whole fucking world, right? My wife is full blown, just stay at home. That's
Nice.
it. You know, so she takes care of our son, manages the house, keeps things clean, schedules always organized, and all the family activities are most of the time orchestrated by her. And so she handles the entire back end of my safe haven, which is a business, really. Being at home is a business, bro. Anybody that is a stay-at-home mom that's hustling like a motherfucker right now at home, being a stay-at-home mom, I applaud the fuck out of you because that's a full-time job. You don't get breaks. I get to go and have lunch right now after I'm done meeting with you, right? I get to go and get my hair cut like I did right now before I did this podcast, which I hope I look fly. But it's like one of those things where it's just, I don't appreciate, I think a lot of people that get into business and they feel that it's like, oh, I'd rather run a business. I'd rather be at home and run a family than run a business. Like, no, bro, you're gonna pick business every time because running a family is extremely hard, bro. My wife don't care about what I do to make money at all. She's not involved with any of my businesses. She doesn't care to be, and I don't ever want her to not want that because that's what she wants, right? And I will honor what she wants thoroughly. I love that you and your wife are so involved with what y'all do because it's actually a blessing. As challenging as it may be sometimes, from my perspective with my lady, she don't care to be involved with it at all. And then sometimes I wish that she was, but I'm also very happy and I honor that that's not what she wants. And so we have a very specific role in each other's lives that we fulfill. And that's normally when we're together. And it's not about the money. It's not about speaking on stages. And she is a performer. So she dances and she sings and she writes songs and she raps and freestyles and all of that. She's very talented. She's a painter, artist, complete art chick, you know? But I think that it's cool that we have our own separate things going on. And then when we come together, the business that we have of loving each other is the thing that we have going on. Yeah. Together as a partnership, if that makes sense. Does that make sense, or am I sounding crazy?
When you were traveling on the speaking gigs a lot, like I think you said 2019, would she go with you and stuff, or would she stay with the kids?
She never cared. Yeah, she just stayed home with my son. That's it. But you know, not that she wouldn't go if I invited her. It's just that she doesn't like real estate people because we've had bad experiences doing double dates with previous real estate. Again, bad experiences defining people.
Going to the movie theaters, yeah.
Yeah, you know, same thing. People have when they purchase SEO leads from different companies and they're like, you know, whatever. It's the same thing. Yeah. I always tell her, look, no, next time I'm going to give you a real experience. We're actually going to go. We're not going to talk about anything business while we're together. Just hang out with me and my friends. And when I'm done talking to them, I'll talk with you and we'll do our thing. Maybe that might be something that's going to happen because con season's coming up. I call it con season because conventions. Oh, conventions. I got you. Which, you know, they happen like the first 2 quarters of the year. Which is always my favorite time of the year because I get the chance to see all my real estate friends.
Interesting.
And, you know, they all throw conventions. They all ask me to be there. I'm a pretty decent speaker, I guess. You know, so I have a good time, you know. But it's awesome seeing you grow in the space so fast, man. For the because you've been doing this for how many years now? Like real estate and your SEO combined. Like
March
business
2020.
and see, so that's what's crazy to me. 2 years that you've been doing this and you're already in a position where things are just super scalable and you're in the middle of so much people. Like proximity is powerful right now in your in your circle. Yeah. For the guy that is where you were at in 2020, right when COVID kicked off, that is unsure about where they're starting. Nothing seems to be working. They're plowing out the phones. They're wholesaling. They're cold calling. They're thinking about maybe even starting their own tech company the way that you did, you know. What would you say to that person that's going through something like this?
Oh, keep going. Oh my gosh, definitely keep going. Don't stop. Because like the second you stop, you reset the clock, right? So like if you just keep going, like there's the story of like the guy, and they're like those 2 guys, they're lost in the desert, right? And they just trying to get to the next road so they can like fly down a car or something like that. And the guy kills himself, right? And the other guy keeps walking over the next hump, finds the road, right? And like the person who stops is the guy who kills himself right there. Like you have to keep going. Right, and we almost stopped so many times, and I would definitely have regretted it if we did stop. And so that's my biggest takeaway for that kind of stuff. Like, do not stop, just keep going. Imperfect action is still action. You know what I mean? And like when you're talking about marketing channels, like cold calling versus it doesn't matter. Like the marketing channel doesn't matter. Just keep doing the marketing channel because the best marketing channel is one that you actually do. It's not one that's perfect. In quotes.
I love it, man. It's the best marketing channel is the one that you actually do. Yeah. All righty, guys. This is my friend. You want to let them know where they can follow you, brother?
Yeah, Andy Kolodji. I'm on Facebook. Pretty much just on Facebook. I don't like, we were talking about it earlier, but like we don't do promotion very much. So like this is our first step towards that direction stuff.
I'm honored.
Yeah, man. Yeah. We do have a Facebook group. If you want to learn about SEO, like it's a no pitch Facebook group. Classic, right? No pitch, no promotion. Where you can learn about SEO. It's called SEO Meets Real Estate Investors or SEO Meets REI. I encourage you to join that if you're into SEO and real estate and stuff like that. But yeah, reach out. I mean, I should have given my phone number out. Maybe not, but
it's up to you.
I'll put the phone number in the comments. But I pick up the phone for everybody. So like, if you call, like, I don't care where you're at in your situation, like, let's talk and we'll see how it's going and stuff.
I love it, man. Dude, thank you so much for being on my podcast. Guys, I'm going to drop all the links to his social media below. Make sure y'all check out propertyleads.com and tell them your boy Q sent you. All right. Love you guys so much. I'll talk to y'all on the next episode.
Thank you guys.